Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sin Privilegios. I'm your host, Adriel Dominguez, and today I'm going to be talking about Alligator Alcatraz, that was in the U.S. in Florida. And I'm just going to get right into it. First off, I want to say that while I was researching this topic, I was very angry multiple times. There's just a lot to unpack here, and I'm going to try my best to say what I need to say in the best way possible. Alligator Alcatraz was built on Big Cypress Everglades in Florida, which was problematic for obviously Alligator Alcatraz. But there was also a lot of environmentalists saying not to build anything on there, and there's a lot of swamps there, alligators as known. It's a wetland, and it's also a native reserve for a Native American tribe. They have their burial grounds there and some traditional sites nearby. Um, the facility has never, there is no actual confirmed number on how many detainees were inside Alligator Alcatraz. I don't understand why there is no official information on how many detainees were in the camp. There's a reason why I'm not going to be saying the name of the camp, but I'll get into that later. Um, but I don't understand why the government can't have an official site where this can be tracked. Um, but based on what is out there and what I have found, the facility was projected to hold up to 5,000 detainees. Um, it is reported that it had the capacity for 3,000. No one is upfront about how many detainees were in there. We just know that it was for sure in the thousands place. But even then, with reports that have been coming out, they were not even equipped to hold that many people. In the detention centers, they were held in these massive cages made out of metal, and there's just a bunch of beds in there. These cages were meant to hold up to 32 people in a singular spot. And like I said, they are not open about how many people they had in that camp, but for the amount that they did hold, which was in the thousands, the camp itself was not even meant to hold that many people, and it was just not built for that. Um they just the camp itself was a whole violation of human rights. There have been testimonies of people that were in there, specifically this one detainee. His name is Rafael Colado, was a man that was held in this camp. And there is a press interview where someone is holding a cell phone and you can hear him talking on the phone, and he says, and I quote, "They are treating us like animals." He talks about how they were forced to remove their clothing. He talks about how when they were sleeping, they would be awoken so they could get moved from whatever spot it was that they were in. Other reports from the camp have also said that they always had the fluorescent bright white lights on, to prevent basically sleep. Even when it was nighttime, they had no sense of time because those lights were always shining in their face, at all times. They also had limited access to showers. He talks about how he was not able to shower for 2 days, and he also says that he had no access to medical help, even though he has a condition that he needs medication for. They had limited access to nurses. Um, Reports have also said that there was insufficient food for all the people that they were holding. They also had limited time on how long they could eat. If they didn't finish their food, they were forced to leave it there and could not finish. It's also reported that the food was moldy, and some people have even said that there was maggots in their food. This facility was run on generators. There was no running water, no running electricity, no plumbing, none of that. Somebody that was in the camp said that the toilets, since there's no running water, no plumbing, would get filled with poop. And so then they had to use their bare hands to take the poop out of the toilet so they could use the toilet to go poop again. And it was just horrible. And people are trying to downplay how bad the conditions themselves were in the camp. Um, so I think it's important to talk about the living conditions. Even though I'm filming this October 11th, 2025, even though it's closed down allegedly, let me actually look that up real quick. Scratch that, Alligator Alcatraz is still not officially closed, which I guess would lead me on to my next point. I find it absolutely ridiculous that it has not been able to get shut down and is going through what? A federal appeal, but they had Alligator Alcatraz up and running in the course of 8 days. So you're telling me in a week you can put this up, okay? Mind you, they had to do construction, they had to get the land and all that. You're telling me that they had that up and running in 8 days and it's taking you months to shut this down? You're joking. Like, oh, that makes me so mad. You, they, you know, you know what? We already know how the American government is. You guys just do things quickly when it's convenient for you. But we're not going to talk about that. So stupid. Anyways, and okay, moving. Now that we're talking about the government, the Florida Attorney General made an ad to promote the camp, which is why I'm not naming it the name it is, because they were using it as a marketing tactic. Like, I don't know what there is to advertise about this whole situation. Like, what you're doing is inhumane. And especially people that are saying, like, it's not happening. Like, are you serious? The American government has many times in history where they always do stuff like this, and then people like they get away with it for whatever reason. And even though it did happen and there's proof that it happened, white people are always trying to find an excuse or they want to be ignorant. I think you want to be ignorant. You're choosing to be stupid, especially now when there's so much media and you literally have access to everything on your fingertips. And you want to say that it's not real or make fun of it. Like, I don't see what's funny about having to take poop out of the toilet so you can take a poop. Or I don't see what's funny about trying to eat when you've been starved for days and then you see maggots in your food. Like, what is there to advertise about that? You should not be proud. The attorney general from Florida should not be proud of that and advertising it and making an ad about it. Also, Donald Trump saying, like, they want to show this idea that being in this camp was inescapable. As far as Trump making jokes saying that if you're trying to leave the prison to run in a zigzag form so the alligators don't catch you, like, what is that? That's your president? That's who you chose? Like, I I just can't believe it. I cannot believe that the person that is supposed to lead the American country into the future is this man. And I will never understand people who voted for him. Like, I think you're dumb. And I also really dislike you. And I think you should crack open a history book or two. Moving on. Um, yeah, and there was also a merch line for Alligator Alcatraz, which honestly, absolutely disrespectful, absolutely disgusting. So, just disappointment on top of disappointment. And even Donald Trump or one of these people on this team was making jokes about being alligator bait, which I did some research into this. The term was actually a racial slur used during Jim Crow and slavery. Um, in the South, the term alligator bait, it was used when they would use black children for the alligators to bait alligators. Like that's literally what it was. So it's racist, and I'm not exactly sure why they're using it again. It's offensive, and again, it's just disrespectful and inhumane. And people, these are the people that are supposed to be the leaders of the country. And like the attorney general, the governor, like these are all people who hold positions of power. And it blows my mind that people are making excuses for them and saying, "Oh, that's not what they mean. You're lying. Like you're just dumb. You really are just dumb and you're ignorant and you lack empathy." I don't really know. I can't excuse it. I don't even know what to say, so I'm just gonna move on from that. Um, there was also another press interview by Debbie Schultz, and she even called it an internment camp, and she literally said, we need to shut it down." Part of the reason I want to talk about this is because a lot of the people that were detained here suddenly disappeared. And like I said before, a lot of this information that when I was researching this topic, I think one of the reasons why I got so frustrated was because there is a big lack of information. Like if you go into Google, like the resources that are actually considered like credible, there's nothing, like nothing. And a political analyst called Thomas Kennedy was talking about when a person gets detained. Usually, ICE has a tracking system where you can like somewhat locate them, but because this camp was state run, they did not work with DHS, and the communication between like a person inside of the camp and trying to get in contact with their family outside or their attorneys was kind of impossible. They didn't really have phone access, and even when they would talk on the phone, it was being surveilled. Like they were listening into phone calls that detainees would have with the people on the outside, which is obviously a violation because, I mean, what you talk about what your attorney is supposed to stay with you and your attorney. But I mean, they didn't care. The Miami Herald reported that out of 1,800 men specifically that were detained here, 800 of them were missing. And I know that there is a higher statistic for the amount of missing people, but like I said, there is no reliable sources or an exact website from the government itself or ICE itself reporting how many people are missing. There's just no information. I have seen some videos online circulating about this, and I truly do. I'm not saying that I don't believe that there are people missing. I 100% that people are missing, and we don't know where they are. But I don't know the exact number, but I do know it's in the thousands at this point. Like I said, it's already October. This information that I found has is slightly outdated because it was earlier in time, like a few months ago. So I know that there are people missing, and I'm not denying that fact because it's very much true. But we just don't know the exact numbers. There's a lot of speculation online. I also saw a report saying that they had been relocated to someplace in Colorado, and then I tried to find the article that the lady was talking about in the video, and I didn't find it. So I'm not going to talk about it because I'm not going to spread false information. I'm trying my hardest to find information that is reliable and try to find sources that are as accurate as I think they're accurate. So please go do your own research. And for the people that are going to argue with me in the comments, I'm not going to answer you. I'll probably just block you because this information is very much real. I'm seeing it with my own eyes. You're not gonna deny it to my face, and I'm not gonna argue with you in the comments. So there's that. And there, like I said, so there's no tracking system. They also is no actual record of how many detainees were in the camp. They also will not release how many of them are missing. And there's just no information. I don't know what the secrecy around this is. Like, everybody knows it happened. I don't know why you can't just, like, where is the transparency? Where is the accountability? What are they trying to hide? I don't understand. I really don't. There's no specific names. I think there is a news report that has a list of two lists of specific names that were held there, but other than that, ICE itself or Homeland Security hasn't come out and released the names of the people who are missing or even the people that were detained. So there's just a lot. Um, there's also allegedly a there's also allegedly talk about wanting to build another detention center called Speedy Way Slammer in Indiana. I'm not sure what's up with these names. I feel it's just so, like, I don't have the words for it because I don't understand what's up with the names trying to make it seem like it's a joke. Like, I don't see the appeal, and I also don't see what's funny. So that's just infuriating. Like, okay. Anyways, there was also a DACA person that was detained in the camp. So they're not taking criminals into these camps. They also claimed that they would only take people who had a criminal record or had an actual deportation order, but that's not true. They also detained a minor who was 15 years old, and they're not supposed to detain minors. They detained a Mexican tourist who was allowed to be here, and he was on a tourist visa, and they deported him anyways. So I don't want to hear people telling me that they are detaining criminals because these people are not criminals. They never have been, actually. Majority of the people that they are taking away into these camps or deporting or ripping away from their families are not criminals. They're literally, their only crime was coming here without papers. And like I've already said in so many past videos, coming here with no documentation does not mean you're a criminal. I'm so tired of people saying that they're criminals. We are not criminals. That's the whole point. If actual criminals were being detained, I don't think it would be this much of an outburst. But a 15-year-old is not a criminal. They have no criminal record. Like, I don't understand what's so hard to comprehend about that simple concept. Do not comment that. Please do not comment that. Because that is not true. And I just don't know what else to tell you. This whole entire thing, I feel like I just constantly keep repeating myself, trying to make the same points over and over again. But I don't know how else to get it through people's heads because people want to be hard-headed and they want to say that it's a lie. It's not a lie. If it was a lie, there wouldn't be so many people talking about it. So I've just decided that people don't want to listen. And in a few years, when this is all over and that man is no longer president, I hope that, actually, I don't even think you'll regret it. I was gonna say I hope you regret that you stood on the wrong side and you defended the wrong people, but I don't think you'll regret it. I mean, there's people who still think that the Holocaust was not a real thing, and it was. There's, I don't know what to say. I'm just at a loss for words that this is where America has come to. America being allegedly one of the greatest countries in the world, and we have the worst leader ever who's incompetent and a felon and a racist. Like I said, I feel like I've just been repeating myself these past couple of videos, but it's the truth. And I just want to spread awareness. I'm not on here and I didn't make this podcast so I could cry about it, as people have been commenting as well, saying you're just crying about it on social media. Girl, I'm not crying. I'm not crying. I'm just stating the facts, because a lot of times when stuff like this happens, people try to erase these things. And, I was learning, I read something in class about how a lot of times immigrants' perspectives or their views or their life stories or stories in detainment centers get erased, because, like this, for example, there's no record, and there's like no official government record claiming that any of this is happening. And so it's easy for people to look the other way and just pretend like this part of history didn't happen. But I'm making these videos as proof that it did happen, and I'm seeing it with my own eyes that it's real, and there's no way you can deny that. And I think, now that I'm learning more, I've realized that, like this author says, people don't need a voice. And that's true. The immigrant community doesn't need me to represent them. I don't need to be the voice for the immigrant community. We have a voice. You guys just don't want to listen. That's it. You don't want to listen because our voices are there. There are hundreds of people talking about the subject on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. So I'm just making these videos so you don't try to erase what's happening to us, because it is real. And you guys need to open your eyes, and we need to try to do something about it, because this is not okay. And I don't want to look back in a few years, and if my kids or my grandchildren ask me, what were you doing during this time, I don't want to say that I just sat there and watched it happen. I'm trying to make a difference by bringing awareness that this is real and that this is happening, and that it is not correct. That is my goal with this. I'm not crying about it. So yeah, I will insert some of the stuff that I covered today in the square part of the YouTube video. And I will also post this on Spotify, but I feel like most of the people that are watching me are on YouTube. That's why I say YouTube. And I also wanted, and like I said, I obviously want to keep track of what's happening, keeping record, but I also want to empower you, because we already know the bad news. We need to know what we can do to make change and help. So, some of the organizations that I think would be really good to look out for or research or look into is Detention Watch Network, Raices, which is, I'll spell it RAICES in all caps. Freedom for Immigrants and the American Immigration Council are some good organizations to look at. And yeah, so I think I'm just gonna end the video there. Thank you guys for listening, and I just hope that these type of things get taken seriously, and that Hispanic and Latino people are not, we know we have our voices, and I hope you guys listen, and I hope that one day our president won't make ads against Latinos, ridiculing us and making fun about the fact that he's putting us in camps. So yeah, I think I'll just end the video there, and thank you guys. Um, I think I'm just gonna take this last couple of minutes. I know I was supposed to post like 2 weeks ago, so I missed like an episode, and I'm sorry about that. I'm like in school, and I mean, for those of you that care, I'm in school, and so it's just been kind of hard, like trying to figure stuff out. I've been wanting to cover this topic for a while now. I just hadn't really gotten around to it. So today I actually sat down. It's actually 8:45, which is not that late, but I've had a really long day, but I really wanted to get this out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you to all my family and friends who have been supporting me and reposting and just bringing traction to the channel. I think it has really helped. I feel like my views have gone up, slowly but surely. And like I said, like even if this just reaches one person and one person is listening to me, that's completely fine. I'm not doing this for the views or to get money. I don't think I'm ever gonna make money from this, to be honest. This is just what I'm passionate about, and I just want to be a good advocate, and that's really the whole. I mean, that's really it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening to me, and I will see you very soon in another podcast episode. So yeah, bye guys.